And as always, our event wouldn't be possible without the generosity of many supporters. We are especially grateful to all sponsors who provide financial assistance. In particular, our novelist and novella writer level sponsors, Humanities Nebraska and the Nebraska Cultural Endowment, Jay Yost and Wade Leake, and the Cather Project at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. All of our sponsors are listed in your program, and again, we thank them so much. If you're a sponsor, would you want to stand and be recognized this morning, please? Thank you. So just a couple of housekeeping items. If you haven't already, please download the conference app called Whova to access the conference agenda. That's where we'll send any announcements about schedule changes. Hopefully there aren't any. You can pose questions for presenters within the app, share photos, and of course network with other attendees that are here in Red Cloud or who are participating virtually. If this is your first time visiting Red Cloud, please do consider taking a guided tour of the Cather historic sites while you're here for the conference. Tours depart daily from the bookstore downstairs at 9, 11, 1, and 3 o'clock. And there are a number of sites on tour that have recently been renovated and restored. So even if you've taken the tour in the past, you might enjoy seeing those sites again. In addition to providing a forum for learning and cultural exchange, this year's conference is meant to be a celebration. It is no doubt a monumental year. Next Wednesday, a statue of Cather will be dedicated and unveiled in the National Statuary Hall collection of the U.S. Capitol. Cather will be the only Pulitzer Prize winner in the collection. A few blocks away, her childhood home, which is a National Historic Landmark, is undergoing its first comprehensive restoration in more than a half century. Cather's birthplace in the Shenandoah Valley region of Winchester was recently acquired to ensure that it too will be preserved. Her correspondence is more accessible than ever before thanks to the complete letters of Willa Cather, a multi-year digital project spearheaded by our colleagues at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln. And at long last, the collections and archives here at the Cather Center are now more accessible online, with additional artifacts and finding aids to be added in the months ahead. And this year, of course, is Cather's sesquicentennial, and so we're celebrating that all year with events here in Red Cloud and across the country. More details in your program about those events. So as we celebrate Cather's 150th year and mark the publication centenaries of A Lost Lady, April Twilights and Other Poems, and the essay Nebraska, the End of the First Cycle, the theme, complex and brilliant, Cather at 150, could not be more fitting. In many ways, Willa Cather defies categorization. A regional writer with an international readership, rural and cosmopolitan, conservative and progressive, Cather's life and work escape easy labeling. As we prepare to explore three important works she released in 1923, the remarks written by one reviewer after the publication of A Lost Lady still ring true. He wrote, "The outstanding characteristic of all of Miss Cather's writings is a fearless honesty. She's never moved by compassion for one of her characters to hide some unpleasant trait behind some slight virtue. Thus, the creatures of her pen are real flesh and blood people, the sort of folk that any reader meets in life. They are vibrant human beings." So, of course, it's our hope that the presentations and discussions at this conference will provide further insight into Cather's writerly imagination. And with that, I would like to introduce our conference academic director, James Japp. Dr. Japp is a teaching professor of English at Penn State Greater Allegheny, where his primary focus is teaching writing, composition, and literature courses. He is a member of the Cather Center's Board of Governors and is developing the Western Pennsylvania Art, Literature, and Culture Project, a center devoted to the study of art and literature in Western Pennsylvania. So please welcome Dr. James Japp.
See if I can read this. Thank you all so much. Thank you all for being here. as Ashley mentioned, my name is Dr. James Jepp. I'm the academic director of this conference, and that basically means that Rachel, Tracy, and Ashley and all the staff did most of the work. So I'd like to give them a last year at the 67th annual spring conference, I mentioned to Bob Thacker that I would be willing to help out with next year's conference as we celebrate a lost lady. And then before I knew it, I was the academic director of the conference. So watch what you say to Bob. Anyway, this is the 68th annual spring conference. Let me just say that number one more time. The 68th annual spring conference. 1955 was our first conference. Mildred Bennett and others decided to hold a conference. Now, this was only 8 years after Cather's death. So while people were certainly reading Willa in 1955, she would likely not have been included in any American literature courses, which many of us got our first exposure to Willa, and she certainly would not have been included in any American literature anthologies. I found an old Norton anthology from the mid-50s, and there were only 2 female authors included, Anne Bradstreet and Emily Dickinson. So in 1955, to establish a conference and then continue to hold the conference is, in a word, visionary. In those 68 years, consider the thousands of individuals who have visited Red Cloud to share in their love of Willa Cather. I would just like for us to take a brief moment to honor those who came before. I believe they would be thrilled with what they see and how far Willa's reputation has developed. This weekend, though, as Ashley mentioned, we are here to celebrate 1873, a variety of eras, right? 1873, 150th anniversary of Cather's birth. 1923, which was a monumental year for Cather. She won the Pulitzer for One of Ours, her novel that came out the previous year. She published Nebraska, the end of the first cycle. It's the 100th anniversary of her book of poetry, April Twilights and Other Poems. And it is the 100th anniversary of A Lost Lady, which in my mind is a perfect novel. I don't know. Fight me on that. I'll fight you on that. Today, we're also celebrating today. We are in what I have been calling a Cather moment. Look around at all the construction you see here. We have the new hotel coming up. We have the capital campaign. There's still time to donate, by the way. And next week, Willa will take her spot, as Ashley mentioned, in Congress's Statuary Hall. So we are celebrating this Cather moment this weekend. This weekend, we will have some very exciting events and activities and papers, and we are so happy that you are here. Enjoy Red Cloud, spend some money in the bookstore and in town, and have a great weekend. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to contact me, and I will basically ask Rachel or Tracy. Again, thank you all for being here. We are going to take a few short moments to get set up for our first panel and get Huva and their presentations on roll, and then we'll be right back. So thank you all so much.